in your website, there's all the traditions that are being brought in. Two, there's your history and association, but you've interviewed many people from different walks of life and different traditions, and more you tie the threads in with the basket of tolerance and the 7 stages of life. So it is, again, a platform for the all-inclusiveness. Clearly.
Yeah, for me, what's really interesting and really profound is that you're really not, I can see it in the other traditions, but I also have discovered a key that you can find it in the evolution of time. And if I don't want to get lost in the Greek period, if you just took it 1,000 years, go back 1,000 years and track where the development of civilization is and was and different cultures, and now it's all come together. I want to tell you, it's a beautifully architecturally designed divine revelation in itself. To see the emergence, the slow struggle, the fights, and that, and where things are today. They didn't come out of nowhere. They've been emerging from distant past, coming into the present moment. The magnification, which is always it's always a magnification, but there was a magnification in the 12th century, 13th century, 14th century, where things were developing. And it's an amazing divine story that's continually showing itself everywhere, where you look. You don't have to look in nature. Look in culture, look in anthropology, look in sociology, look in history, philosophy, science, mathematics. This is a unique moment.
It is. And I actually remember in 1976, one of the conversations that Adida had with me was exactly about this. 2 parts. There is one other thing I did want to ask, which is how you drew others in to helping you. Did you primarily do this on your own, or have you had significant help? I mean, you've described individuals who offered things to you for this archive, but in terms of actually creating the Beezone, we can talk about it now or at another.
Well, just briefly, no. It's all no. I mean, my interviews with Frank and Frank Marrero and Terry Patton, and I had a board in the beginning, but no, the work itself was all mine. I mean, I've done 100% of it, but the guidance, the seeing of it has always been in relationship to. I have a board. Beezone is a nonprofit educational foundation, so I have an oversight of people, but the work itself and the research and the writing and the programming and the web development and the cost and everything like that. No, I've 100%. I've done it all by myself. Other people have offered to do it, and some have. Nobody's lasted very long. I've had proofreaders and editors from Adidam and outside have been helpful in some of my less than perfect literary work, but no. I do it all. I'm not making anything out of that. It's just,
sure. Yeah. Well, I know over all these years now that we have been communicating and connecting that I'm aware of how much time you invest in this, but also I am aware of how full your life is synchronously, and how often what you do in life always ends up revealing itself as coinciding with the work that you're doing. So there's always that interconnectedness.
Well, this is where it truly is. You get to see the pattern that we all are, but it is manifested form. I mean, right now I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff in Cambridge that I had no idea I was going to get involved with, and it tangentially connects to what it is that I'm doing with the Beezone. And directly, not just tangentially, but directly in many ways connects. So you get to see the influence of the pattern is much greater than I could even imagine it to be. And the
Yeah.
forward motion of my
Yeah.
life is
Yeah.
is kind of moves in a pattern. I mean, I'm not 34 years old, and it's been proven to me over and over again. You keep on stepping forward and take care of yourself and take care of your life, so it isn't just pulling you backwards. Then you get to see the pattern that is all inclusive in
Yes.
all ways.
Yeah.
So it turns out to be a magical kind of process that's going on. I have no comprehension, truly,
Yes.
of how it all fits together, but it's
Yes.
undeniable that there's a larger element of my life that I have no idea about, but I do. I mean, I could make guesses, but
Right.
I tend not to make any assumptions.
Right. Well, that's wise. Because doing so, presumptions or assumptions, the liability of that is that it can place a limit on what will potentially be revealed that could be beyond just what you may be presuming.
Well, the game I'm in is in knowledge, and the biggest problem that I can get caught into is thinking you know something.
Yes, yes.
And that's where the trap is, the seduction, because knowledge is also, kind of illuminating. But to make any ownership or conclusion to the process, or to claim an understanding of any great thing, of any real, I know, boy, you're going to get your ass taken care of real easily if you start walking around start raising flags and championing something, or standing in a position of, let me tell you,
Well, that is specifically how cults begin. The cult of any form of knowledge or experience. It defines and is making overly much of differences, differentiation. It's very counterproductive in the inevitable process of divine self-revelation.
But you also have to stand as have a position of some kind, to have some people have to assume that you stand as some person or identity, and you have to play out. The world kind of gives you, I mean, you don't have to, the world tells you who you are. In my case, I don't. There's a larger pattern of life.
Yes.
And sometimes those doors open, sometimes they close, sometimes they're half open, sometimes they're testing, sometimes they're this.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying. Yes. So in the fidelity at the heart, then choices are made in relationship to what you're describing. You can make the choice to, and to be able to do that with discrimination requires stability of responsibility.
Yeah. And you're really up against a lot of this, at least if I am anyway, you're up against people's limitations. Not everybody has got a wide open berth here and saying, so you're working with people's limitations. So you may be bright-eyed and open-ended, but if you're going into a place or a business or a life or educational center or meeting people, you're up against where they are, and how you respond to that, and how you can absorb that and take that into your own understanding and your own being, and bring that back into their world, and work and be in relationship.
Yes, exactly. And that reminds me of what I learned so clearly when As the process matures, there is the humanly, and also in relationship to the larger sphere of the universal or the cosmic interconnectedness, is that I hear Adida in his instruction and embodied through experience and through lessons learned, you know, hard knocks and tapas, is what you are objectively assuming to be different than you in another person. If you are assuming that somehow that is not a possibility within your own being, you have yet to begin even to understand. So there is no righteousness in that kind of fundamentalist way, you know, the cultic way of relating to the world.
No, because you could understand the limitations, because it is part and parcel of who, not that you're trapped in it, but you could understand it because you are also have that capability, because it's in the matrix of the psyche and the world psyche. It's not just your psyche.
Yes, and it is the patterning, and the error is the identification with it.
Right.
As a sense of separate self. But as you were pointing to before, is that there also has to be the understanding of the responsibility required to act with discrimination and maturity in relationship to it.
And that's a hard matter. I mean, the mind has to be informed. The mind has, but the mind, this is reflection. This is only a reflection. This reflects. This is where the root of understanding is here.
The heart. Yes.
It's
the
in
heart.
Because all these opposites will always be appearing on the different sides of the hemisphere and in the ideas. But this is the only place that it's resolved here.
Yeah.
Once it's resolved here, you're free to participate to whatever time, place, and situation you're involved with.
Yes. Yes.
So.
Yes. And that truth is, of course, linked, is not just linked, but it is about love itself. And that's where it inevitably and inherently includes the whole feeling being. And if the process of human growth, religious, spiritual, transcendental realization and awakening doesn't include every fiber of that feeling being, then it is an abstraction in relationship to the process. Even as Adida describes in 7th stage yoga of transfiguration, transformation, indifference, and outshining, when you actually study the details of his description of that process that he demonstrated, in addition to showing the beginnings of the process and addressing us, it's like wholly embodied. There is no separation. He keeps indicating, never make that mistake of superimposing mind or abstraction or dissociation upon this understanding, this awakening.
And that abstraction is not only an abstraction of the mind, it is a contraction in the heart. And that needs to be felt. And you can see how you limit and how you contract and then project with whatever it is that you've in the mental framework, because this is a bodily esoteric teaching he's given. So it's not just a mind dharma, it is a bodily dharma. It is a human feel, as you're saying, a feeling. So you don't have to think your way out of anywhere. You just feel your way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is why he also communicated that for realization, most perfect realization and full recognition, the beginning of the 7th stage way, fully established in that, would inevitably show the signs as a collective. because it transcends independent, separate self. Really important understanding of the signs as a culture, a community, a mission, a process altogether inevitably occurs in relationship. The way of the heart is a relationship,
It's
not
impossible.
a
It's impossible to have one
Mm.
one enlightened anything. You have to have
No,
some degree of a collective enlightenment. There's no such thing as an individual enlightenment.
no, no, exactly. Yeah. And no separate selves are enlightened. Oh, my dear, there is only one.
Well, we've been going on, so I don't want to
Yes.
keep up your morning, and I don't want to keep people from being too hanging out if they've hung on this long with our conversation. But I sure have enjoyed our conversation.